What would you do if you answered your husband's phone and another woman said, "Baby, when are you coming home? Your son is crying." Not your son, her son. This is not a movie. This is a real-life inspired story that happened in a modern home. A story about love, trust, and a secret life. Stay with me, because what happened that night completely destroyed a marriage that people believed was perfect.
But before we continue, if you love emotional stories like this, please subscribe and follow, because this story is about to get even deeper. Chioma believed she had a good husband. She and Emeka had been married for 9 years. 9 years of shared dreams, 9 years of laughter, 9 years of building a home together. They lived in Lagos in a modest but comfortable apartment. Nothing too flashy, but enough for a peaceful life. They had 2 children, a boy who loved toy cars and a little girl who followed her mother everywhere. Every morning, Chioma woke up before everyone else. She prepared breakfast, packed the children's school bags, and waited for Emeka to come to the table before he left for work. Emeka worked for a company on Victoria Island. His job paid well, but it also kept him busy, very busy. Most days he left the house before 7 a.m., and sometimes he returned late at night. But Chioma never complained. She believed he was working hard for the family, and Emeka always said the same thing. Everything I do is for this family, so she trusted him completely.
Chioma was not the type of wife who checked her husband's phone. She did not believe in spying. She believed trust was the foundation of marriage. Her friends sometimes joked about it. One day, during a small gathering, one of them said, "Chioma, you trust your husband too much." But Chioma laughed. She said something that now sounds painful. "My husband will never betray me." She believed it with her whole heart. But sometimes the people we trust the most are the ones hiding the biggest secrets. 2 years before everything changed, something happened at Emeka's workplace. A new employee joined the company. Her name was Ada. Ada was young, very intelligent, and very ambitious. She quickly became known in the office for her confidence. But there was something else about her. She admired Emeka. Whenever they worked together, she praised him. "Sir, you explain things better than everyone. You are very wise. You are different from other men." At first, Emeka ignored it. He was a married man. He had responsibilities. But admiration can be powerful, especially when someone says the things you secretly enjoy hearing. Soon, they began talking more. At first, it was about work. Then it became personal. One afternoon, Ada asked a simple question. "Sir, have you eaten?" Emeka said no. She smiled. "Let's go for lunch." It seemed harmless, just 2 colleagues eating together. They talked about work, life, dreams. Ada laughed at his jokes. She listened carefully when he spoke. And slowly, Emeka began to enjoy her company. More lunches followed, then longer conversations, then phone calls after office hours. And without realizing it, a line had already been crossed. Not physically, but emotionally. One evening, during a conversation, Ada asked a question. "Sir, are you happily married?" Emeka paused. For a moment, he could have told the truth. He could have said, "Yes, my wife is a good woman." But instead, he said something different. He said, "My wife doesn't really understand me." That sentence was the beginning of the lie, because the truth was Chioma had always supported him. But lies are powerful when someone wants to believe them. Ada believed him, and that belief made her feel closer to him, closer than she should have been. Months passed. Lunches became dinners, dinners became private meetings became hotel visits, and soon Emeka was living
two emotional lives, one at home with Chioma and another with Ada. At home, he was the responsible husband. At work, he was the charming man who said he was misunderstood, and Ada believed she was the one person who truly understood him. But secrets always grow heavier with time. One evening, Ada called him with a trembling voice. "Emeka, we need to talk." They met that night. She looked nervous. Her hands were shaking. Then she said the words that made Emeka's heart stop. "I'm pregnant." The world suddenly felt smaller. Emeka's mind began racing. What would people say? What would his wife do? What would his family think? But instead of choosing honesty, he chose fear. And fear often leads people into bigger mistakes. Instead of confessing to Chioma, Emeka made a decision. A terrible one. He secretly paid Ada's bride price in her village. Only a few people knew. Two of his closest friends attended. To the outside world, nothing had changed. But the truth was different. Emeka had now married another woman without telling his first wife. He rented a small apartment for Ada in another part of Lagos, a quiet place where nobody would ask questions. Now, Emeka had two homes, two lives, two responsibilities, and two women who believed they were the only one. But secrets like that can never stay hidden forever. Months later, Chioma began noticing small changes. Emeka was coming home later, much later. Sometimes he said he had business meetings. Sometimes he said he was traveling. At first, she believed him, but something in her heart felt uneasy. Not suspicion, just uneasiness. She noticed he had started locking his phone. Before, he never did that. If she asked about his day, he answered quickly and changed the topic. But every time she wanted to ask deeper questions, he would say something that stopped her. "Don't you trust me?" And because Chioma didn't want to look insecure, she stayed quiet. Then one evening, everything changed. Emeka came home from work looking tired. He dropped his bag on the table. "I'm going to take a shower," he said. Chioma nodded. She continued helping the children with their homework. The sound of water soon filled the bathroom. Then suddenly, a phone started ringing. But it wasn't Emeka's normal phone. It was another phone, inside his bag. Chioma froze. She had never seen that phone before. Her heart began beating faster. Maybe it was just a work phone. Maybe it was nothing. But the ringing continued. Her hands slowly opened the bag. She picked up the phone. The caller ID read something that made her blood run cold. "My husband, heart." Her fingers trembled. Her breathing became slow. For a moment, she considered ignoring it, but something inside her said, "Answer it." So she did, and the voice on the other side said something that shattered her world. "Baby, when are you coming home? Your son is crying." Her son, not Chioma's son, someone else's. In that moment, Chioma felt the ground disappear under her feet. The bathroom door was still closed.
This can't be
the
happening.
water was still
I have
running.
to do something.
Emeka
What
had
now?
no idea what
Hello?
just happened.
Our son, what's
Chioma
wrong?
slowly
A
placed
secret
the
life
phone
I don't
on
understand.
the table.
This
Her
can't be
hands were
happening.
shaking.
Hello?
But her face
Our
was
son,
calm.
what's wrong?
Very
A secret
calm.
life I don't
Because
understand.
sometimes
This can't be happening.
silence is more
Hello?
dangerous than anger.
Our son, what's wrong?
When Emeka
A
comes
secret
out
life
of that
I don't
bathroom,
understand. This can't be
everything will
happening.
change.
Hello?
Will he deny it?
Our son, what's
will
wrong?
he confess?
A secret
or
life I
will
don't
he
understand.
lie again?
This can't be happening.
Find out in
Hello?
episode 2.
Our son,
and if
what's
you want
wrong?
to hear the
A
rest of
secret
this
life I don't
shocking
understand.
story,
This
don't
can't be
forget to
happening.
subscribe and
Hello?
turn on notifications.
Our son, what's wrong?
Because the
A
truth
secret
behind
life I
that
don't
phone
understand.
call
This
is
can't be
even
happening.
worse than you
Hello?
imagine.